Good morning. It's the very last day of June, and I thought I'd share with you what's updated grown in the garden. So first of all, we have our peas. They are looking really wonderful. We've gotten a lot of meals out of these. You can see they've grown all the way up to the very top of the trellis. And they're just looking really good. The purple potted peas, we have two kinds. We have purple potted peas and sugar snaps. And I do have to say that the purple potted they're both from Nature and Nurture Seeds here in Ann Arbor. They look really cool and they're a nice addition to green salads and stuff because they're so different, but they aren't as sweet as the sugar snaps. So I may actually just grow sugar snaps next year. We'll see, because I really like the sweet sort of crunch you get from those. But yeah, they're doing really great. They've been really liking the sort of cooler weather we've been having. Peas like it a little cooler. So hopefully we'll have these for a few more weeks. I got to pick a bunch today. You can see our onions are coming along. So this is an experiment this year. I have bunching onions on this side of the pea trellis. This is the north side, and then over here on the south side. And you can see that the southern ones are definitely growing a lot faster. And I was curious how that would work, because I figured if we have a really hot summer, they might actually enjoy being shaded on the north. So we'll see how they progress once we get into the real blasting heat of July. Anyway, again, you can't see much in here, but this will probably go away pretty soon because you can see a little greenery in there. The melons are really growing well. The cucumbers didn't do quite as well as I thought. I don't know why. I had some that just didn't germinate, but I reseeded them, and so we have cucumbers in 6 different plots of cucumbers back there. The melons are going to start blooming soon, so I'm going to have to get rid of this because they need to be pollinated in order to fruit. So I'm, fingers crossed that this was enough protection to keep the cucumber beetles and the squash bugs at bay a little bit. Weirdly enough, I actually haven't seen almost any cucumber beetles since the one I saw on my previous garden video right in the beginning of June. I don't know if that means that this, having all of my cucumbers covered just made them go away, or if they just haven't appeared in full force yet, or if maybe last year was way more than this year will be because of weather-related reasons. We'll have to see. So what I probably will do is uncover this when I start seeing the blossoms form, and I may do 1 spray of neem. I'll try to time that at a time when the bees aren't out, because neem is organic, but it still isn't great for bees, and you don't want to spray it directly on them. So I may do that once I lift this off, just as one final measure of protection. But other than that, we'll see. Anyway, we'll stop staring at a white sheet. We have the beets are really kind of coming into force. The garlic is looking great. I'll probably harvest this in a couple weeks. You wait for garlic. You wait for a couple of these bottom leaves to brown and harden up, and that means the bulb's ready. So you can see a lot of these already have one that's hardened, that's sort of turning brown. So I'll wait for 1 more to go on them, and again, that'll be in a couple weeks. Beets, they're starting to plump up. Again, I had really bad germination on the beets this year. I'm not sure why. So I did reseed them. Over here, you can see that I've had particularly spotty germination. These are rows of beets. These ones filled in pretty good. I think I had a dry spell when I seeded these 2 rows, and so that's why some of these didn't do so well. But I reseeded them and they're coming in. But beets kind of get preyed upon by a lot of different bugs, so that's part of the reason too. Anyway, shallots, I'll probably pull those around the same time as the garlic, and they have a similar situation where you wait for the tops to get really brown and crispy and fall off, and then you cure them in the same way. Tomatoes, these are probably the thing that's doing the most better this year than they did last year, if that makes sense. So you can see they're just really full and bushy. I think right around this time last year, I was just getting my trellis into place, figuring out how the hell to do that. And this year, just yesterday, I tied my first 2 up to the top of the trellis. Interestingly, these 2 that I tied are Golden Queen, which is a really big, you can kind of see them. It's a big yellow heirloom beefsteak kind of style tomato. Usually, or last year, my cherry tomatoes grew much taller faster. So I don't know, I guess it's probably just conditional differences. We have had a ton of rain. We had one sort of hot spell. Last year we had a lot of really hot in the early part of June and not enough rain. And we had not a lot of rain this year up until about a week ago, and then we have just been getting like monsoons. A lot of the fields around here are flooded, and even these are probably more wet than they need to be. But luckily, I think we're in for a dry spell now, so that's good for them. But you can see they're just fruiting up like crazy. You know, I've had to pull a few off because of blossom end rot. I'm a little worried about this one. See these like brown patterns here? That might be the beginning of blossom end rot. It gets like much more pronounced when it gets worse, and you just pull the fruit off if it has that. Usually you get blossom end rot if the conditions have been like variable in terms of water like we've had. So if you have dry and then a bunch of wet, the tomato will grow the fruit really fast, faster than it really can get the right nutrients in there and do a good job of it. And then it gets a rot right around the bottom end where the blossom is. And so you need to pull them. Anyway, yeah, you can see lots of flowers, lots of fruit. We have all different kinds in here growing. I have some, I probably won't be able to find it because I'm on video. Some good cherry style ones starting to come in. Oh yeah, here we go. These little guys, do you see them? All different kinds. Looking really well. I went through yesterday, like I said, and tied them up and pulled off all the suckers, and hopefully they'll keep going and looking great. So yeah, cauliflower. It's getting eaten a lot by flea beetles. Today I'm going to mulch it, and hopefully that'll help. I've been spraying, well, I just did one spray, but I'm going to spray again soon once the rains stop with BT, another organic spray, to keep the caterpillars off these because that really hurt them last year in my garden. The tomatoes are just looking enormous. Onions. And this is something I'm doing much better this year than I did last year too. I'm giving them more space. And just generally I did much better with like starting them from seed. And so you can see they look pretty good, not to toot my own horn too much. You can see they're really starting to form fat bulbs, which is exactly what you want. That one looks really great. I have a few clusters in here. Again, onions don't mind being clustered up. You can see I have two kind of growing, it's hard to show, right next to each other here. And they'll both plump up. They don't mind. They share. It's a good lesson for all of us, huh? These are watermelon. I'm going to be pulling these screen covers off really soon. I've gone through and selected the best from the little clusters of seeds that I planted. So these are all the winning plants. And you can see they're starting to press up against the screens. I might actually even pull this off today and hope that they're big enough to survive any beetle pressure that shows up. I might spray these with neem too. More garlic coming along. These are cabbages. We have 2 purples and then 4 greens. The purples tend to withstand pest damage a little better, but I think the greens taste better. So it's good to grow both just to have a little bit in case the pests get real strong. Let's see. The asparagus is doing well. We definitely have some asparagus beetle pressure in here. You can see like this top stalk. See how it's all defoliated? I don't know if you can see that. That's all their eggs hatched and their larvae came out and ate this. I'm not that worried because they still look really lush and green and healthy, and getting in there and hand picking beetles would be a real chore. So I'm kind of crossing my fingers and hoping that they're healthy enough to be okay for now. We'll see. That group of larvae is now in the ground turning into adult beetles for like what may be the final round of beetles coming back up. We'll see what that pressure looks like. I may go in and hand pick again. I'm not sure. Anyway, peppers. These guys are finally coming along. So we had a really late frost this year, and then we actually had a really cold night, like in like mid to late June, just like a week or two ago. I can't remember, like 10 days ago, which I was like, come on, poor peppers. So I had to cover them. They didn't get frosted or anything, but I think that they've had a lot of like pressure on them this year. I actually, interestingly enough, I had 4 extra hot pepper seedlings when I planted these. I gave them to my sister-in-law. She lives in a neighborhood that didn't get the late season frost, and she already has, from those same seedlings, a couple Anaheim peppers longer than my hand. Like they grew so well. But mine are a little behind that, thanks to our friend the frost. But they're still flowering, and they're starting to produce some peppers. So you can see all these nice flowers in here. That's where all the peppers will come out of those. And then I've actually, oh look, they're coming on. These are probably my biggest ones. These are going to be some kind of sweet pepper. I think this is my green Michigan Wonder green peppers. They all start out green. But then different ones will ripen up into different colors when they're fully ripe. So I have them organized in rows. So I have chocolate ones on the furthest left, and then greens, and then I have a spectrum going from red to orange to yellow all the way up to my hot peppers down here. And then I have, I think it's 4 or 5 different types of hot peppers distributed through these 9. And they're coming along too. I might have a few peppers in there, but I'm sure I won't find them on camera. Oh, goodness gracious. Look at this. A huge slug. I don't know if I'm going to get him on camera. Slug, you can't just be in here. Cut it out. See, we don't actually struggle with this much in Michigan. At least last year we didn't. Slugs are like massive garden pests in that they just eat everything. They have massive appetites. And you get them more when you use heavy mulch like I am this year. So it's been a bit more of a problem this year than it has in previous years. Well, previous years, I say like I've done this for forever. Last year. But in addition to that, you don't usually struggle with them that much unless it stays really wet for a really long time like we've had. So they're much more of a Pacific Northwest kind of problem than they are here in Michigan, where we usually get a little bit of a dry spell between our rain spells. So we've had lots of slug friends chewing up things. Slug, I'm going to feed you to my chickens. Anyway, so these are more shallots. Celery. Shoot, I got to put this slug down. Okay, you know what? Slug friend's just going to join us for the journey. So anyway, celery. You can kind of see it's starting to look like your true celery you buy in a grocery store. I can start harvesting stalks from this, the outside stalks, anytime, and it'll just keep producing more. It's looking really good. It's really liking the wet weather. Celery loves wet weather. This is Swiss chard. I got to come in here and pull out all these weeds. This is Brussels sprouts. It's getting chewed on by something, and I know it's not caterpillars because I've sprayed it with BT and I haven't seen any caterpillar sign. So I'm not sure what it is that's eating this. I mean, it's doing okay, not too bad, but like you can see these big holes. That kind of is caterpillar looking, but I can't find the culprits. So not sure what's going on there, but it's just going to continue to grow. This won't be ready to harvest until, this is one of the last things in the garden that you harvest is Brussels sprouts. They take all summer, and then right when it's starting to frost, you start getting the sprouts. Let's see here. We have leeks, 2 rows. It's kind of hard to tell because they're small, but here you can kind of see these. These are leeks. I need to thin them, but leeks resist thinning. When I thin them, the ones I thin come right back, which is not too big of a deal. I pulled the greens bed that was in here, and I planted kale, and it's doing okay. It's getting some pest pressure. Some is doing better than others. This is, I believe, a little, oh no, that's not, damn it. Oh, here it is. You can see like it's getting some bites from stuff, so it's trying, and it probably will do okay, but I might need to reseed it. Slug, this slug, oh my gosh, pain in the butt slug. Okay, so this is garlic, again, to be pulled when the rest of the garlic is pulled. My strawberries are doing really well. You can see that they've put out their runners, and this is what that looks like. So you have your parent plant. This is the one I planted this spring, and then it puts out these runners, and then they seed, or they put out, not seed, they leaf out and put down roots, and then that becomes another strawberry plant. And they're just kind of doing this like crazy, so I'm just trying to like keep them put, in spots where they can put down roots, and they're doing that all along this row. Again, this is Jewel. And these, and I keep having to pull off flowers. So they keep putting out these flowers, and these would turn into strawberries. It's your first year, you don't want them to do that because they need to put all their energy into, growing roots and building a good strawberry patch. So I'll pull these later so they don't turn into strawberries. These are Early Glow. From what I read, Early Glow is like the tastiest strawberry variety. So we'll see next year when I can actually pick them. Here are my sweet potato tubs. They're doing okay. These ones were real teensy weensy when I planted them. I don't know if you remember from the last video, but it was sort of an experiment. They were tiny, and I just put them in there thinking, what the heck, maybe they'll grow. This is actually a bucket of sod that I pulled from the ground here where this used to be lawn. I just piled the sod in here, let it for about, maybe a full month. I topped it with straw and let it sort of compost itself. I pulled the straw off. I put the slips in there, and they seem to be liking it just fine. So that's a win for me. Raspberries, something's eating them. I don't know what. Hopefully that's not too big of a deal. I've been doing a lot of weeding out here because the grass just keeps wanting to come back. But all of my raspberries have taken off. which is really nice. And where's my slug friend? Oh no, I lost him. Oh, he lives to eat another plant. Oh man, slug friend gone. I was letting him crawl on my arm. Alas, I'm sure I'll find him again at some point. Okay, anyway, more sweet potato slips. Looking pretty good. That cold day we got in mid-June, the only frost damage I saw was on this sweet potato right here. It lost this corner of a leaf. And then I know that seems like, oh, could you really tell it was frost damage? But it looked just like frost damage. And I'm just super annoyed about it because the mid-June frost is about like as bad as you could ever expect here. Anyway, my grapes, speaking of that frost, well, speaking of frost in general, my grapes are coming back, except for one. This one I finally pulled and just put my last sweet potato slip in there. It doesn't look too healthy. I think it's probably too wet. So its area is just kind of a loss. This grape is my other white grape. So the one I lost was white. This one's white. And it's coming back. I don't know. I'm not sure it'll survive the winter. I'm probably going to do a ton of winter protection for it. So like heaping a lot of mulch around it. We'll see if that actually works. Don't know. And then these are my red grapes, the Canada's variety, and they're doing just wonderfully. They're just growing like crazy. So I suspect that they're going to be okay. This one over here too. And I need to do a bunch of weeding in here. That's probably what I'm going to do today. Weed when it's wet, you know, pull weeds when it's wet. It's much easier when it's dry. Oh, this is cool. Check out how the shallots look. Isn't that neat? These should be ready, I'm guessing soon. We'll see. I've never done shallots before. All right, anyway, again, my video is getting long. It always gets long. Sorry. Okay, so here's my other cucumbers. And you can see they're about ready for me to pull these screens off. In fact, I'm just seeing this now because I just got here today. I think I might actually pull those today because they're getting just kind of pressing up against, especially these big ones. And hopefully the cucumber beetles will stay at bay. We'll see. Again, I have 3 different varieties, 1 pickling and 2 slicing. 1 is a hybrid. I generally don't grow hybrids, but the hybrid is supposed to be particularly resistant to bacterial wilt, which is what took all of my cucumbers, thanks beetles, last year. So we'll see. The broccoli is doing great and it's getting chewed. Brassicas, just everything loves eating brassicas. I've sprayed them with BT, like I said. And I need to spray them again once the rains stop so that the rains don't wash it off. But in general, they're looking wonderful. And I've planted them with all these stakes, and unlike last year, none of them are even falling over. So I don't even know if they needed them. But anyway, there they are. Let's see. Collard greens. We're probably going to harvest some of these to eat soon. They're looking very nice. These are my bunching onions. You can see they're all bunched up. And they're coming along just fine too. Nice, starting to produce nice bulbs. Here's my summer squash. They're getting pretty close to me needing to pull these greens off too. Excuse me. I gotta dust some of this. It keeps getting really splashed on and dirty from the rains. This is a zucchini. This is a zephyr, and that is a crookneck. And they are prolific enough that as long as you don't lose the plant to some unforeseen disaster, 3 is going to be more squash than we can possibly eat, probably. So. Anywho, let's see, we have carrots, again, succession planted so that we have, this one I planted like early spring and then I waited weeks for each individual row and we have the final row right here. Here are my beans. They are doing really wonderfully. They're starting to make their way all the way up the trellis. You can see this, going all the way up here, all the way to the tip top. Which is kind of fun. These ones are doing really well too. So in general, we have in the back half, we have what I'm going to do for dry beans. So like they're all like heirloom local varieties of beans, which is pretty fun. I got them from Annie's Heirloom Seeds, which is a really great seed company that's located here in Michigan. Actually, I think they just sold it to someone who lives somewhere in Wisconsin, but still pretty local. So anyway, these will produce dry pods of beans that I'll leave on the plant all the way until they get dry and hard, and then you can store them. And then these are fresh eating beans. And I have 3 different varieties, but more of the purple potted because of the frost, etc. You heard my saga about that. You don't need to go into it again. So anyway, they're doing pretty well. I have actually been a little concerned because I have seen some signs of mosaic virus in here, which is a seed. It's a disease that comes on the seed, and you see some of these like funky growths that I got here, and some of the yellow patching can be a sign of that. So I've pulled one plant. I haven't pulled anything else yet. I'm curious to see how that progresses. I'm mentioning it just in case it does progress into anything. I'll pull any plant that's of particular concern. We'll see. Anyway, then we have our, almost done, we have our spinach patch. Oh, that's a bean beetle. Dang it, I gotta pull that guy. I knew I had bean beetles chewing. They're really elusive, unlike other beetles. I rarely see them. I see their damage. Anyway, spinach, most of it's gone to seed, but it's okay. We're still eating it. And then this is the lettuce patch. We've eaten most of the lettuce out here, and this is really coming into good harvest. So we've been having a lot of salads. We just had a salad for dinner last night. I really like this one. This is from Nature and Nurture. It's heading up really nice, and it's just kind of got like funky, cool leaves. It's what it's supposed to look like. It's got this variegated color, or patchy color, whatever you call it. This is cinnamon basil, really slow growing. I've never grown it before, but I started it from seed, and we're seeing how it's going to go. And then let's see, back here we have the mountain spinach / auroch. It's called both things. It's going to seed, but it still tastes good, and we're still harvesting it. Here's regular Genovese basil, getting chewed on by things, but still looking okay. Let's see, I pulled all of, there was bok choy in here and something that went to seed. Oh, Mizzou, all my cold weather greens, which did not do very well this year because it was a warm year. I pulled all those and I planted herbs. So you can see these are baby dills and baby fennels I put in here. It smells wonderful in this bed already. And over here I planted cilantro. A bunch of different cilantros in a couple rows. Cilantro, in my experience, goes to seed really fast. So it's succession planting it is really important if you want to have a continuous supply of cilantro. So we'll see. All right, and let's see, last but not least, we already covered the peas and the celery. So there we go, 22 minutes. Thanks for sticking with me, y'all. I thought I'd do this one faster, and I certainly didn't. But here we are, late June, in the garden. Things are looking wonderful. Hopefully in the next video I share it with you, this will be all the way full to the top. Thanks for watching.